When a general's medals are stripped away and replaced with a prisoner's number, how do you resist despair? At the moment you were forced to bow to a Japanese officer, what storm did you clench in your fist? And in the freezing prison cell, 30 degrees below zero, could you have imagined standing on the US Missouri witnessing their surrender? I think here I found the answer. Behind me is a museum where Allied generals were taken as POWs during World War II. So let's go and have a look. The Japanese built this camp to hold Allied generals, and I'm surprised that nobody actually knows that this place exists here. In 1942, Allied forces in the Philippines fell at the Bataan. What followed was one of the most horrific humanitarian tragedies of World War II. The Bataan Death March. The Bataan Death March is where 70,000 Allied POWs had to march through blistering heat, starvation. They were beaten and shot to get to their location. And as you can see here, we have a map of Taiwan showing where POWs were taken to Shenyang. And just here to my left-hand side is the list of high-ranking Allied generals that were sent there. Deep in northeastern China, far from any battlefield, stood a secret camp. Here in Liaoyuan, Japan imprisoned its most dangerous Allied POWs, not for intelligence, but to break their spirits. Among the prisoners, there were two high-ranking generals, one from America, Jonathan Wainwright, and the other, a British, Arthur Percival. It's actually quite disturbing when you look at this. You know, I'm this side of these bars. Can you imagine what it'd be like for these prisoners stuck behind this, not being able to speak a language, forced to slave yourself to a complete different culture. It must have been horrendous. And the living conditions, they must be treated like animals. They weren't fed. They probably didn't have latrines. They had to probably work for hours just to be obedient to the Japanese people. I can't imagine what hellhole those guys went through back then. In 1945, the Japanese failed and the POWs were rescued. Wainwright thanked the Chinese farmers for getting him out of this hellhole. Finally, on the 2nd of September 1945, the Japanese on board US Missouri signed a declaration of surrender. General McCarthy signing the piece of paper, and the two generals stood behind him are Wainwright and Percival. Behind me is the only surviving building of that time. It represents the history of what happened. General, the questions you once carried in silence, today the echo. Dignity never surrenders. Fascism will forever be nailed to the pillar of shame.